Hello, BookTube. It's Roz from Scarlett Anything About Books, and I'm here to do a tag ready for Tag Tuesday. It's Monday evening when I'm doing this, and the tag is the Moody Book Tag. And I was tagged by Sean the Book Maniac, and the original is by Slanted Spines, and I will link to those. And there's one reason why I'm in a good mood as I do this tag, and that's because in the UK today, some of the sort of COVID-related restrictions have been lifted. Not all of them. We're not rushing into, reckless kind of behaviour, but one of them means that I'm going to be able to get my hair cut in about a week's time, and I will stop doing irritating fiddling with my hair in every video, and I'm sure that will put us all in a good mood. I'm trying to remember at the moment to do my tagging up front at the beginning of a tag, as suggested by Nell of Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. So I'm going to do mood-based tagging, and my mood-based tagging tells me that I want to tag Mark Nash because I want to see his face when he reads some of these prompts. I'm going to tag Daniel of Guilty Feet because he's the person whose video I watched most recently today. And I'm going to tag Tilly of Tilly's Shelf because although she said don't tag me in anything else, Ros, because now I'm falling behind and I can't keep up, I'm going to suggest this one to her because it's one that doesn't really involve any preparation. No running around the house searching for books. It's just ask you what you think about some things or how moody you are, I guess. Question number 1 is, do you consider yourself a mood reader? Well, I hadn't heard the term mood reader until very recently when people on BookTube started talking about doing mood reading or that having a sort of a alternatives on their TBR so that they could mood read. And what on earth? What on earth does this mean? I said to myself. And I think I understand. It just means reading according to what you fancy at the moment, as opposed to what you think you ought to read or plan to read. So, am I a mood reader? No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't read things that I don't want to read, and if I've got something I'm planning to read, and then I think, oh, actually, I'd rather read something that instead, I'll allow myself to do that. But I do have a bit of a scheme that or a plan that I'd be deviating from, or I'm more likely to think, oh, I want to pick that up because I've just heard someone else on BookTube really enthuse about it, than because of something to do with my mood. Which brings me to the next question, which is, do you set TBR lists and do you stick to them? Yes and no, but sort of yes. So I have a kind of like a long-term TBR list. It's more like a wish list of things that things I don't want to forget that I want to read. So, when somebody recommends something or I read a review of something, I can stick it on that list, and so I try not to forget it. And I also have a proper TBR, like what think I'm going to read that month, that might be to do with readathons and buddy reads I'm doing, or things that I've decided it's really time to get around to. I use the TBR to make sure I've got a bit of a mix in my reading, so like I'll bung in, make sure I'm doing a non-fiction, or, what's my poetry going to be this month? So yes, but I do allow myself to deviate from that if I feel like it. It is my TBR. It's not a work to-do list or the 10 Commandments. So, but yeah, I like having a TBR. It helps me kind of not forget things and keep a bit of a mix and a kind of a push towards reading certain things, I suppose. Question number 3. Do books affect you emotionally? Does the mood of a book rub off on you? Do books affect me emotionally? Well, I think books and reading is an essential element in my overall emotional well-being. So yes, they affect me emotionally. But I think what this question is sort of how much do you kind of take on the emotions of the book that you're reading. Well, when I'm reading something, I might be very moved by it, or angered, or amused, or whatever, as I'm reading it. And I think actually Hannah of Hannah's book said the same. But when I stop, that doesn't then stay with me, really. I mean, like, the memory of it will stay with me, but not, I don't carry on. If I read a sad book, I don't carry on feeling sad. In fact, it's a very good thing that the sort of mood of books doesn't affect. I don't take on the mood of books I read, because I've got a real enormous delight in odd, weird, sad kind of novels and poetry. So, or a non-fiction about kind of, yes, complicated topics. I don't mean clever, you know what I mean. I just mean, issues and so on. So goodness me, if I took on the moods, I'd be in a right state. Question number 4. When you're feeling sad, what do you read? Or do you not read at all when sad? Oh no, I do read when I'm sad. I read, whatever mood I'm in, I suppose. Do I read different things when I'm sad? Not, like, a sort of generalized answer would be no. But if I'm at times in my life when I've been really sad, I mean, like, when you've got something major going on, like a bereavement, say, I think I probably will step down the level of challenge of what I read, maybe. You know what I mean? You sometimes you haven't got enough headspace and emotional energy to deal with more challenging material in the books that you're reading, and that's fine. But that's the only sense in which, yeah, I might read something different when I'm sad. Question number 5, most often says, do you use reading to escape, to learn, or to critically reflect? Oh, well, all of the above in varying quantities, varying proportions according to the particular book I'm reading. I'm going to point you to, and I'll put it in the show notes, a video that Alfred, my son, did as a sort of visitor on this channel. He did a guest appearance and did a video about what he called the 8 kinds of fun, and like, kind of learning, that's one kind of fun, and escapism or immersion, that's another kind. We want all those things from reading, I think. But maybe some people particularly like one form of that, but yeah, I like quite a range, I think. Alfred, when I sort of was running these questions past him, said something that I just loved as his reaction to this question, and it was what he said was, "Do you go for a walk to get exercise or to reach a destination?" Well, both. So it's a silly question for me. But sometimes it might be more to get exercise because you've not got any particular destination, and sometimes it's you've definitely got to get to that destination, but you probably could have got a bus instead. Question number 6. What is a book that made you laugh out loud? The most amusing book that I've read recently, I'd say, was Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell, and I enthused about it in a previous video, and so did some of the other Cranford women who we did as a bit of a buddy read, and we all found it really enormously entertaining and a lovely book, and one I'd enthusiastically recommend. But I don't tend to literally laugh out loud very often reading books, and the one that I could think of that I know that I did, I actually, snorted with laughter that I couldn't repress, was a P.G. Wodehouse book, and it's Right Ho Jeeves, which he wrote in 1934, and there is a bit in there where a character called Gussie Fink Nottle has to give the prize giving speech at a school, and unfortunately he's a little more inebriated than one should be before making such a speech, and it's a tour de force of humour. Go and find it. Yeah. Question number 7. What is a book that made you cry? Now, or it says, if you don't cry, one that really moved you. And oddly, I think I'm possibly more likely to cry in response to poetry than novels or non-fiction. And one that comes to mind is Surge by J. Bernard rather. And it's a book of poetry from 2019. Bernard is a Black London poet and wrote these poems inspired by the archive of material about the New Cross fire, where a group of teenagers, black teenagers, died in a fire. And it's, oh, there's some poems in that book that are just, they absolutely hit me here as a parent, because they were so young, and as someone who was basically the same, like more or less the same age as the teenagers that died at the time of the fire. So it was an event that stuck in my mind, I suppose. What's a book you didn't even know how you felt about it? That's a great question, although I struggle to come up with a good answer. But there are books sometimes where you get to the end and you just think, what was that? And what do I feel about it? And an example recently, I think, for me was Weather by Jenny Offill, which it was one of those books where you think, I think this is a really good book, but it could be that I've just been conned. Another one a bit like that is Outline by Rachel Cusk. And because that one's kind of auto-fiction. You're kind of reading it, and as you're reading it, you're thinking, each bit is great, and yet the whole thing, you're left with this odd, a bit like being left with an odd aftertaste. Question number 9. Are you more likely to read on a sunny day or a cloudy day? Yes, and yes on a snowy day, and yes on a foggy day, and yes on a drizzly day, and yes on a yes, every kind of day I'm more likely to read. It's that's yes. I read every day, whatever the weather. Question number 10. Do you usually set the mood when you read? Music, lights, smells, etc. Just that question really made me laugh. Does anyone do that? Who are these people? It would be tricky. It would be tricky for me to do that, because I'll read anytime, anywhere, in any circumstance. And if every time I want to read a book as I walk downstairs to put the laundry on, I had to take a candle and some music with me, that would be tricky. No is the answer. No, I don't set the mood. The book is the mood. Question number 11. Can you leap from book to book, or do you need buffer time between them? Now, again, I think this is genuinely a really good question. And there's not a simple answer to this for me. I mean, I usually do, the moment I finish a book, I'm immediately thinking, what's the next one? And I might go almost straight from one to the other. But some books do have an impact on you that means you need just to pause and absorb them a little. And it would be a mistake to just rush to the next book. But when I say, would I have a buffer? I mean like an hour or so, or, wait till the next morning, or, I'm not talking about a serious gap. Sometimes some books are so sort of profound and in their sort of effect on you that I might think I need a buffer book after reading it. It's like, I've just finished Ulysses. I'm not going to go straight on to Proust. I might think I need to read a Dorothy Sayers in between. If yeah, that's all the moody questions. What a great tag! Lots of fun. Look forward to seeing other people's answers, and happy Tag Tuesday.